Hi, my name is Terry, and you're watching Terry Tells the Story. Today, we're talking about the story that Walt Disney doesn't want you to know. We've all heard the urban legends. They say Walt Disney is cryogenically frozen in a vault somewhere under Pirates of the Caribbean, waiting for the world to change. But the real secrets aren't buried beneath a theme park. They're hidden in the archives in plain sight. Today we're looking at the man behind the mouse, not the Uncle Walt character he played on TV, but the ruthless businessman, political extremist, and creator who lets some of the most horrific tropes in history slide across his desk. Most people think of Disney as the ultimate story of the American dream, but for many who worked for him, it was a nightmare. In 1941, while the world was at war, Walt was at war with his own artists. After the massive success of Snow White, he promised his team bonuses and a share in the magic. Instead, he built a new studio with a penthouse club for the elites, while the actual animators struggled to buy lunch. When they finally went on strike, Walt didn't see it as a labor dispute. He saw it as a personal betrayal. He eventually testified before the government, accusing his own employees of being communist agitators just to crush their union. It wasn't about patriotism, it was about power. And we can't brush over this topic without talking about what was appearing on screen during those years. We aren't just talking about old-fashioned views, we're talking about total dehumanization. In the 1940 film Fantasia, there was a character named Sunflower. She was a small, dark-skinned centaur with exaggerated features who was depicted as a literal servant, shining the hooves of the lighter, prettier centaurs. Her character was so offensive that Disney eventually had to go back and physically remove her from the film, hoping we'd forget that she ever existed. Then there was the Song of the South. Most people today only know the Zippity-Doo-Dah, but they don't know the film that it came from. A movie so problematic it has been locked in a vault for decades. It paints a picture of a post-Civil War South where former slaves are depicted as happy and nostalgic for the good old days on the plantation. It wasn't just a fantasy. It was a rewrite of history that ignored the blood and the chains. And the tropes didn't stop there. In cartoons like Mickey's Melodrammer, we see Mickey himself in blackface. In shorts from that era, Africans were routinely depicted as savages with bones through their noses and giant pots ready to cook white explorers. They weren't just background characters. They were caricatures designed to make the other look like a joke at best and subhuman at worst. But it went deeper than just cartoons. In 1938, just 1 month after the horrors of Kristallnacht, Walt gave a personal tour of his studio to Leni Riefenstahl, Hitler's chief propaganda filmmaker. While the rest of Hollywood turned their backs on her, Walt welcomed her. Now, as a black storyteller, I know some people get uncomfortable when we talk about this. They take it as a personal attack either on themselves or on their childhood, or as a biased take on history. But I'd like to remind you that the truth doesn't have a bias. We can acknowledge that Walt Disney was a creative genius who changed the world, while also admitting that he was a man of deep prejudices who used his platform to reinforce them. Which brings us to our word of the day, demistificar. Demistificar. That's Spanish for demystify. Because when we stop worshiping the myth, we can finally start learning from the man. I'm Terry, and this has been Terry Tell the Story. If you like this video or you learned something new, drop a like down below. If you have a specific topic that you'd like to see me cover, drop me a comment. And if you'd like to support this work that I do, there'll be a link to the Cashapp in the description box below. We'll see you next time.